Good morning. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professional Scientific. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professional Scientific. Thank you all for joining with us and staying with us till then. Honorable knowledge seekers, today I am your host for the morning. My name is Janata Guri. I am from Bangladesh. Dear knowledge seekers, I am proud to be associated with IGP. IGP, a non-profit organization, is a social and ISO certified international education and training institute. In the last 3 years, we have already served 35 million knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 450 plus professions, 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professionals IGP and ISO 9001 2015 and 10002 2018 is a training facility for skill development which was founded in 2020 and is only for candidates who meet demand in the global labor market by providing professional qualifications. The Institute of Global Professionals is an education institute that provides social and globally recognized and affordable. We serve students and community resources providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. So, we provide effective training and consultation to generate professional generation all over the world. We distribute our services locally, national, and international to students, job seekers, job holders, and also to learners to respective campus location and distance learning platforms and a professional development institution. IGP is one of the famous institutions from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business product; it's part of our human need. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for free webinars, seminars, course, awards, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other hand, we are also trying to offer more than 100 plus 100 premium services for creating our portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter, word knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge, which can update all day, kids learning, game website, free courses, converters, and many more. We have to empower to youth to learn to meet their expectation and dreams become highly skilled people. We implement several training programs, webinars, and offline online courses for youth leaders by professional trainers, speakers, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals to develop all kinds of youth to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. Building knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professionals. We believe that knowledge is love, light, ambition. So we try to understand the needs of today's generation. We serve them with a good research and practice methods. We must have a genuine concern for the learners who represent more diversity, growth, and innovation to lead the session with professionalism, passion, and indicate as members are committed to offering effective, best quality services and continual improvements. So, and an individual who seek information can improve their skill levels and below. Before we move to the next, let me remind, don't forget to share, take, and mention it in the comment box. Your support is very valuable with us. Thank you. Moving to the next, you can continue support. We have already completed 1,625 webinars successfully. Wow. Dear IGP speakers, participants, and knowledge at this moment, this is a very important message for you all. We change and design our website www.eduigp.com. On the website, surprise for everyone. Hope you'll be benefited. We already launched our new website where you can find all our previous activities together with lots of new features. But one strong point is that without an account or logged in, you cannot enjoy services. So create your account for once with your proper information. Within the proper information, you'll enjoy all features. With mismatch data, you can do anything here. From now on, you have to participate in live quiz competition in our website. With less likely, you have to join directly on our website. Now you can check all of our previous webinars with very certificates. Now it's easier and time oriented because after the session, we will provide you with any code for certification. You have to take part in one exam. After that, if you pass, you'll receive your certificate. Otherwise, not. But you can take part in an exam unlimited till you pass. If you're an IGP speaker, you can download certificate of gratitude. If you are an online quiz competition, you can download certificate of participation. If you are selected for lifetime membership, then you can download the certificate of lifetime membership easily. Besides this, if you participate in any work function which organize compensatory IGP, you can download that also. You can instantly prepare and download 18 types of certificate from our website. Certificate of Global Professional Membership, certificate of journalistic, social activities, 2021 and 2022. Certificate of participation nominations for other investment teaching learning. Certificate of participation nominations to teaching English as a foreign language and assessment. Certificate of participation nominations to digital classroom engagement tools. Nominations for the new trends in education. Nominations for upskilling, organization, leadership, and managerial skills. Nominations 6 trends and innovation in mathematics education. Nominations 7 research comprehensive and the nominations are art in teaching, especially for arts. Nominations 9 university tools in teaching mathematics. Certificate IGP corporate ambassador, certificate IGP campus ambassador, which you can prepare and download within a minute. From now on, you have to participate in 1,000 plus international level quizzes with very good certificates. Teaching tips for teachers, help tips for parents, help tips for teachers, gamification tools for teachers, and you can also join IGP. You can check out our 50 plus premium services website for free. Dear IGP, will you share? We promised previously, but lack of technical issues, we are late in time. This is a great opportunity to collect your previous credentials. We solved all issues from our website. Now you can release a password and everything. You can check your dashboard for all web benefits. It's a cordial request to check all buttons and pages on our website. Surely I can say you will be benefited. Thank you. But not without an account or login, you cannot enjoy services. You can then just hit this. And present we are going to start our 1626 program name, and our today's speaker is Ma'am Hadiana Devi Nurfika. Now, before I hand over to the stage to Ma'am, one day very little bit about a speaker, entrepreneur, trainer, and practitioner at Billy's Education Center. Now is a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with her presentation. Now is a very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with her presentation.
Hello, good
Hello, ma'am.
morning. Hello, am I audible clearly
Now
or
the
not?
stage is yours, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all viewers across the globe who are really eager to be waiting IGP series in this station. My name is Hardina Nifika from Indonesia, and today we're going to talk about CBT for anger management. And before we continue, let me introduce myself. Like our host already mentioned me that I'm an entrepreneur, student founder of this education center, certified organizer practitioner, ACD, and RBD therapist. That's why in today's topic, I'd like to talk about CBT for anger management because I do believe that there are so many of us who can get into trap when they are in anger. So in today's discussion, we're going to cover 6 points like introduction, understanding stability and anger management, cognitive and behavior patterns in anger, CBT techniques for challenging negative thoughts, relaxation and mindfulness techniques for anger management, and the last one is creating your personalized anger management action plan. Because after we learn all of these things, we have to create our own personalized anger management as everyone is a unit. So maybe my anger management will be different to be yours. That's why at the end of the session, I do really hope that all of you able to make your own unique anger management action plan. So CBD itself is the root causes of anger that it can really identify the root causes of the anger and recognition unhelpful beliefs or cognitive distortion. So in this CBD, we are going to reframing negative thoughts because in CBD, like I'm going to show in the next slide, is not only affecting your thoughts, but your thought is going to affect your feeling, which will bring the result of your own behaviors. And with the CBD, it really going to overuse some coping strategies to manage your anger. Like I have said, every individual is unique and you can personalize your anger management action plan. And there are some kind of relaxation techniques and mindfulness that you can implement during this anger management process. So like you can see in here, there are cognition or thoughts, behaviors, and feeling. Some of you might have seen like on social media, for example, our thought drives our feeling and our feeling drives our behavior or our action. There's something like that called a cognitive thinking pattern, but in CBD, we put it all together in the same way. It's not only our thought drives our feeling, but yes, our thoughts can also drive the behaviors directly, and that behaviors can also drive the feeling that we crave for a certain thing. And on the other hand, our feeling can also drive the behavior which can lead to our thought. For example, the most common thing that happens is our thought drives our feeling and our feeling drives our behavior. For example, okay, I have a bad thought about a specific person. Whether you are at work, at school, or in the public areas, when you think and when you have a negation about someone, maybe they are looking mess, or maybe they are smoking or talking bad, and you accidentally hear that person word, and you put on your mind a negative label of that person. When you put that negative label, it will make you feel uncomfortable when that person is close to you. So your thought drives your feeling. And after that feeling comes up from your negative thought, it also can drive your behavior or your action, which will make you maybe have a distance with that person. Maybe you don't want to stand next to that person, or maybe you don't want to sit next to that person. That's the most common thing that happens. But we also got behavior that affects feeling and cognition. For example, when you regularly do exercise, it's yeah, it's a routine activity. You really do exercise 3 times in a week, or maybe every single day. Then you will feel like, okay, you trust that you have enough self confidence because you put efforts. You put effort into that behavior, and you keep commitment in it, and you feel good about yourself. And when you feel good about yourself, you have a positive thought about yourself, which means you're not going to be a person who has a negative thought or even lack of confidence, because your daily routine for having a regular exercise already make you feel good about your body, about yourself, which lead your thoughts. So this kind of things is not only going to drive a negative side, but also can drive a positive side. So these thought, behaviors, and feelings are really connected to each other. Okay, so CBT is based on a psychotherapy, and it promises the changing negative or maladaptive thought patterns that can lead positive change in emotions and behaviors. So we change the negative thoughts, and it will bring us a good emotions and a good behaviors. And the core principle of CBT are include cognitive distortion or unhelpful thought patterns, developing coping skill, and setting realistic goals. This part is really important because during this CBT, we are going to analyze, we are going to identify what's on our mind or what happened in our mind 2 days ago, for example. And after that, we're going to implement the behavior change to improve mental well-being. Because if you just identify, okay, I know that I got a bad thoughts, then it's not going to change a lot if you don't implement the behavioral change. Because yeah, we must work on a progress. Okay, why I choose this topic for regulating the anger, for example, because with the CBD, it can make you have effective anger controls. Because with the CBD, it equips individuals with practical techniques to recognize and manage anger triggers. So first, before we want to solve a problem, let's say our anger problem, we have to identify, we have to recognize if we don't have enough self-awareness about our trigger from our anger, then we cannot solve it. And then when we can recognize and manage the anger triggers, we will know where is the next step or what kind of the leading action that we have to do to better emotional regulation and reduce outbursts. Next is lasting improvement. So by addressing underlying thought patterns, stability fosters sustainable change in how individuals perceive and respond to anger, and resulting in long-term anger management skills. Because, for example, today you're going to practice the stability for anger management. You're going to implement it 2 days later, or this week, or for the 3 months. When you are doing this, you create new habits on your brain, because on our brain there are a million of neurons, and those neurons have something called synapse, which is connected to each other. And when you do something new, it strengthens the connection between each neurons. And when you do this at least for 2 weeks, it becomes stronger connection, which will lead you into the lasting improvement or long-term goal. Next is enhanced communication. This is really obvious because when we have a communication problem, we might also have anger things while discussing or while talking to other people. Because yeah, it's true, I do really believe that when you have anger too much, you cannot even communicate with other people. How can you communicate? How can you address a specific thing if you don't get the idea about what's going on your mind, right? So with the CBT, it helps individuals develop assertiveness and communication skills. So yeah, it's for sure promoting healthy expression of emotion and reducing conflicts related to anger. When we know how to regulate, how to manage our anger, we can address our thoughts better while we are talking to other people. Even if we disagree about something, we have a clear vision, not based on the ego, but based on the realistic thing. Next is personal empowerment. So through the CBT, people can gain sense of empowerment and self-control over their anger, which will lead to increased confidence in handling challenging situations. Because everything's supposed to start from yourself. If you know how to regulate, how to identify your own problem, and how to solve that in yourself, you got the confidence to handle other things, other circumstances thing. Because yeah, we have external factors in our life, okay? If you haven't done with your inner problem, then how can you continue it? How can you have a better improvement in professional development? But once you master it, once you can do that, of course, it's going to lead to have more confidence in personal and professional journey. So, okay, as I have mentioned before, that in CBD we have to identify, we have to recognize our triggers, the reason, the root causes why we got mad over something or over someone. And these four are the most common cognitive patterns which contribute to anger response. First is catastrophizing. So this cognitive distortion involves magnifying the significance of situation and assuming the worst possible outcome. And when faced with frustrating event, someone who has this kind of cognitive distortion may catastrophize, intensifying their anger response. For example, you expect the worst thing which not hasn't happened yet in your life. Maybe you will have a meeting, a big meeting with a big colleague, and then because you catastrophize in your mind, then you think, oh, okay, maybe I will fail my presentation, or maybe they will not like me because I cannot make a good presentation. So instead of just simple do and do your best during that moment, you already expecting or assuming the worst thing will come for you. It's absolutely unfair and sounds like you are sabotaging yourself. And when it happens as you think and as you expect it, then you will become a person with victim mentality. You will suddenly blame other people. And many people, like in my clients, they say, oh, okay. See, I was right. So you're trying to validate your negative thoughts about you assuming the worst thing that actually didn't might happen. But you already mentioned about it to yourself, and once it happened as you expected, you blame other people, which is really not healthy, and you will hold the grudge or anger when it happens to you. Next is personalization. So, so many people, whether they are teen, adult, elderly, when they are prone to anger, they may personalize the situation, believing that others' actions or behaviors are intentionally directed at them. That's why there are so many quotes, there are so many speakers and motivational speakers say that don't take everything personally, because when you take everything personally, yeah, the tendency can lead to increased feelings of hostility and resentment. If you take everything personally, everything will be a problem for you. But if you don't take everything personally, you will have less stress in your life. Next is mind reading. This is also the other danger cognitive patterns, because when you assume what others are thinking or intending without evidence, it will 100% lead a misunderstanding and heightened anger. Like mind reading often involves negative interpretation, reinforcing angry emotions. So, okay, maybe you know a specific colleague or a specific friends or specific family members, and before even you mature, there is something is going on. You already assume what other people will do or think about you, and you assuming it the worst. You act like you know what their mind is thinking right now, and you, with that intention, put it into a negative cycle, which will make you get mad because that person might only be silent, but maybe you have a bad experience with that person. And when you have a bad experience, you act like you know everything. You can read their mind. But actually, it's not always happen like that. That's why people say like we have to stay positive. We have to stay positive because if we don't, then, when there is some bad experiences in our life, we might pretend to be a someone who can read other people's mind. But actually, it comes from the resentment or the grudge that we hold from ourselves from a bad experiences. Next is short statement. So, if you, for example, hold rigid beliefs about how things should or must be, then any deviation from this expectation can trigger anger because you already put a label. Other people must do this for me, or other people should do this to me. So when they didn't do any kind of specific thing as you expected, then of course you will be mad, right? So this unrealistic demands on oneself of others contribute to frustration and irritability. Of course, when you assume other people should do certain things to you and they turn out didn't do as you wish, it will make you angry. And that's the other most common cognitive patterns that contribute to the anger response. So there's also behavioral patterns that escalate anger reaction. When we got angry over something or someone, there might be a behavioral pattern. First, aggressive communication. Yeah, because when we are angry, we cannot even talk calmly. We cannot even talk clearly and bring a clarity into our conversation. So aggressive behaviors such as yelling, insulting, or blaming others can escalate anger reaction and create hostile environments. That's why we will learn some strategies or coping mechanism later. Next is avoidance. Of course, when you get mad over something or someone, you don't even want to meet them, you don't even want to do something, right? So avoiding or suppressing anger may provide temporary relief, but it can lead to pent-up frustration and explosive outbursts later. When you mad and you avoid to talk to a specific person, maybe at the day you are safe. You don't need that person. But how about the other days? How about if later you meet that person again? Are you going to keep continuing and fight that person? It's not really nice. And we sometimes we see like we live in the small circles because we keep meeting the same people again and again. Some people might have feel that. And maybe one, twice, or third time you can still avoid them. But how about if it happens frequently, 4 times in a week? Of course, it will bring you explosion of anger, which is really not healthy for yourself, for your body, mind, and soul. Next is passive-aggressive behavior. So some people might show aggressive communication. They might yelling while talking to you. They might insulting in front of your face or blaming you. But there's also passive-aggressive behavior that they use indirect expression of anger like sarcasm, silent treatment, or backhanded compliments. This is what other dangerous thing when there is anger inside of you, because when you do a sarcasm, for example, you know exactly you do it on purpose to get your message addressed to that person, but you just cannot say it directly. So you put it indirectly and put it in sarcasm, and it's not really cool actually. And silent treatment is also worse. Because if you have a problem, you have to communicate it. You have to talk and find the wrong way how to solve it rather than have a silent treatment. Because if you're silent, then how can we work on it? How can we solve it? How can you expect other people know what's on your mind? Because if you expect other people will know that, then you are come to the other cognitive distortion that I have mentioned, which is mind reading. You assume that other people knows what they do, but maybe they have different thinking. So it's going to make the situation even more chaos. Next is rumination. So dwelling on past anger, inducing events, and replaying negative thoughts can perpetuate anger experiences and hinder resolution. Yeah, because when you keep ruminating the old past behavior, it's not going to work in a better way. It even only can bring you more frustration and anger. Okay, so with the cognitive and behavioral patterns that people hold in themselves when they are angry, there are also the impact. First, these cognitive patterns amplify perceived threats, making situations appear more aggravating than they might be under a more balanced perspective. Next is with the negative thought patterns reinforce and justify angry reaction. So creating a cycle of escalating anger because if you don't solve it, for example, if you keep the mad over something, if you only want to avoid and even take a silent treatment, then it's going to be a repeating cycle. You are keeping running in the same circle like a hamster running in their wheel. So it's not going to have any end of good feeling. It's only fuel your anger day by day, more and more. And one day you will get explode. And then when it happens, you will have a mental health issues. It does not really good. Next, with the unhealthy behavior, intensify interpersonal conflicts, causing strained relationships, exacerbating and also make the experiences for all involved. Because this is really important for us notice it when we cannot handle something and it takes so much time for us to solve it. It just actually brings the other problem, more problem again, more issues, and we can have a peace with it. Next is frequent rumination and anger can negatively affect mental health, contributing to stress, anxiety, and even depression over time. Like I have said, if you keep avoiding something, if you keep having a silent treatment about what you don't like, that circle are going to running on your mind and you will explode one day. And it will bring a bigger stress that you cannot ever imagine about it. Okay, now I have the example of CBT angle log that usually I use for my client. As you can see here with the CBT angle log, there are some columns. First is even. When you want to identify the root cause of your problem, you can write it down. The even that maybe make you feel not feeling good. For example, my friend didn't invite to a birthday. Okay. And then you have to identify before it happens, before it brings you that feeling of angry. What is the pre-emotions that you have? Whether maybe before you notice that you didn't get invited, you already have the other kind mad from the other person, or maybe before you hear that news, you actually simple fine. Everything is okay, but you just get mad once you hear that things also. Next is you have to be able to identify the automatic behavior. How is your behavior related to certain events? Whether you take a distance directly, whether you become aggressive when communicating to that person, you have to know it. And you can write it down because we need to identify the root causes. We have to rethink and take a look at what you want to work on in order to be successful in managing anger. Next is consequence of automatic behavior. For example, In this event, I put someone didn't invite you and you get mad. And your pre-emotions is actually simple, normal, everything was fine. In your side, there's nothing wrong with you before you know that or before you notice that someone didn't invite you to a birthday. And then next, with the automatic behavior, you simple take a distance or you simple become a passive aggressive and there must be a consequences as humans are living in this world there must be a consequence whether it's positive or negative for everything that we do, right? So what is the consequences that you get from the automatic behavior? Maybe you got the consequences your friend is even get angry too for you or the other consequences that you feel like other people even think bad about you. So yeah, there must be the consequences that you can identify. Next is which cognitive distortion were present. Remember, I have mentioned there are some kind of cognitive distortion. I will put back the slide so you can remember this. Okay, this four. There is a catastrophizing, personalization, mind reading, and short statement. If the even or if the case of problem is you got mad because your friend didn't invite you to a birthday party, then it might be personalization and short statement. So it means there are two cognitive patterns that you have on yourself because you take it too personally. When someone didn't invite you, you might think like, yeah, maybe that person doesn't like me, or maybe that person hates me, or something like you think too much about the other person, and you expect them to invite you. You might have think they should, or they must invite you. So it's clear that there are cognitive patterns that contribute to your anger, right? And after you notice all of it, after you know the even the effect or the consequences of that event, and after you can also review the cognitive distortion that happened, then you can understand the cognitive pattern contributing to anger responses. First, the cognitive restructuring. This technique involves identifying and challenging negative thought patterns related to anger, so you can learn to question the validity of their automatic thoughts and replace them with more balanced and realistic perspective. Remember that we are having CBT because we are having a negative thought patterns that we need to challenge. We need to delete it in order to have a more peaceful mind and self. So when there is unbalanced or unrealistic things on our mind, of course, it will bring more stress. So for instance, if someone frequently thinks everyone is always disrespecting me, then they can challenge themselves by asking, is it true that everyone always disrespects me? Or are there times when people treat me with respect? For example, when you found that someone didn't invite you to a birthday, like the case that I have mentioned in the previous slide, and then you got mad about it, you think that that person is disrespecting you because you didn't get invited. And when you have that thought, you have to ask yourself, is it true that everyone always respect me, or are there times when people treat me with respect? You have to be able to not take a generalization just because you have a bad experience with one person or one situation. There must be a very good people in your life that have been good and respect to you. Okay. Next is thought record. So keeping a thought record can help us to monitor our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors related to anger. That's why we have to we have to be able to identify it. Like you can write down the triggering event, the automatic thoughts, like I have shown in CBT anger log, and also the resulting emotions and the subsequent behavior. Because when you keep record about your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, you can know, you can see the pattern. When do you usually get mad? What kind of the usual or most common triggers that you usually have? Okay, and why I suggest you to write it down, because the thing is, we have so much thoughts on our mind or our mind every single day. And when we got mad about something, we got distracted. We cannot think clearly. We don't get clarity too. But when you write it down, even when you are angry, you have a vision. You have ability to see it. And when you can see it, it brings another process to your brain, which can create another neurons in your brain that can still have a good influence on a positive outcome. Next is positive affirmation. As we know that this kind of problems, when it comes to anger, we might think or manipulate ourselves or even sabotage ourselves with so many negative self-talk. That's why we have to engage in positive self-talk. We can counteract the negative thought patterns. But if you only keep saying or keep giving level to your mind about yourself or about other people, then how can be there's a positivity? It really sounds impossible. So you can create a positive affirmation such as I can handle frustration calmly, or I am in control of my reaction. Because why I say this affirmation? Because if I say that there is no frustration coming my way, then maybe some of you might disagree with me because it's true. So much happened in your life. Maybe you got a problem with your college at work, or with your family members, or with your friends, your spouse, or your neighbors. There are so many kind of things that unexpected that might come in our journey in this world. So rather than forcing all of it, do a favor to you, you can say to yourself that you are in control of your reaction. Everything can happen around you. Every people can do something. Every people can say something to you. But no matter what they do or say, it's not going to be by yourself, because you are having full power of your control of how you react to certain things. And when we talk about anger and respond or reaction, or we respond in a better way, I think we also have to understand that not all the things in this world deserve to get respond or reaction. Sometimes we have to be wise enough to pick where we want to stand. Okay, so we have to replace self-defeating thoughts and reinforce constructive beliefs, because destructive belief is only going to ruin your mind and your emotions. Next is decatastrophizing. Let's say you have a cognitive distortion, which is catastrophizing all the things. You assume all the bad things, okay? But with the catastrophizing, you can invoke questioning catastrophic thoughts and imagining more realistic, less extreme outcomes. Okay, because like I have mentioned, when you have catastrophizing about a certain thing, you will think or you will assume or expect the worst thing will come or will happen in your life. For example, if someone believes that I will never be able to handle the situation, then they can challenge it by considering more probable outcomes and reminding themselves of their past successes in managing similar situations. Because I do believe every single person in this world might have made a mistake, might have a failure in their journey of this life, but there must be also a kind of warnings or kind of moment that they achieve or they even celebrate because of they are so happy for getting done what they expected. So just because you felt one or twice about something, then you say to yourself that you cannot handle the bad situation. It's not true. Instead of keep blaming yourself, then you can identify the root cause. For example, you already said because you couldn't get the project that you want, or because you failed the business that you are working. So that kind of bad situation already give you a heart or give pain to yourself. It seems like you cut your arm, for example, it's already bleeding, and you even still keep touching it or even keep cutting it, even though you see your hands already keep bleeding. So if you keep thinking back after you already have that experience, it seems like you keep throwing the bricks after you fall down from the stairs, which is really unfair for yourself because you have to be a good supporter for yourself before other people. Okay. Next is example of applying CBT techniques in real life scenarios. I think so many people, especially in big cities, often face traffic frustration, even if it's morning or evening, whether it's weekdays or weekends. I think so many people have faced this because it's normal, especially in big country, big cities. So when stuck in heavy traffic, you can think that this is really unbreathable and I cannot really stand it because I don't like it. I might get mad, my boss will get mad, my colleagues will be mad because I'm like blah blah blah. Instead of thinking like this, you can use cognitive restructuring. So you can start challenging this thought by reminding yourself that traffic is temporary. It's not going to be 24 hours. It's not going to be a 365 days. Okay. So getting angry will not change the situation. If you get angry because the traffic situation that bring you anxiety, stress, frustration, do you think everyone will just move away and give you the way that you need? It's not going to work in that way. So you can focus on listening to calming music or podcasts to distract yourself because in this situation, it might be really difficult. We might cannot predict how long the traffic will be, or don't assume that okay, you will assume the worst thing that happened if you left, for example. I know we don't want to leave in work, in school, in certain meetings, but we also don't need to assume the worst thing will happen to us. Okay? And if it happens to you, like getting traffic frustration, I do really encourage you to start listening to a calming music or simple to listen a podcast during the traffic. So it will distract your mind. You're not going to fuel negative thoughts on your mind, which is will lead you to more angry, to more anxiety, and more frustration. Next, for example, or the other example is disagreement with the colleague. So, after a disagreement at work, someone might have the thought like, my colleague is always trying to undermine me or trying to really put in your love, for example. So through the thought recording, you can recognize this cognitive distortion and replace it with more accurate thoughts like we had this agreement, but it doesn't mean my colleague is always against me because we are unique, a unique being. You have your own opinion. I have my own opinion. For example, other people have their own opinions, right? But it doesn't mean that that person is going to always against just because they disagree for once. Because if you think that person disagree with you and then you feel like it's always always. It's not going to be good for you as you fall into the cognitive distortion like taking too much personal and also assuming the bad things for that person. Okay, so you can take a break when it happens to calm down before addressing the issue calmly and assertively. Okay, instead of having aggressive communication, which just will show that you truly against that person or you truly cannot accept what they've done to you, then you can take a time to calm yourself. Next is being interrupted. Honestly, even myself, when I get interrupted while I do something, of course, I will get mad. We are human. We all have emotion, but the difference and the problem is whether you can handle your emotions or not, whether you know the root cause or the triggers of your emotion or not. Okay? So if someone frequently feels angry when interrupted during conversation, they can use positive affirmation like I am passionate and can handle interruption gracefully. This positive affirmation it's going to stimulate your brain that you are in a calm state of mind. When you are sending the signal to your brain that you are in a calm state or sense of mind, you're not going to do some kind of the things that you don't want to do when you are not feeling angry. So this can help you to maintain composure and respond assertively, and you can also be able to address the interruption without becoming overly angry. Okay. Next, when we talk about challenging something, we have to notice that we have to take a consistent into a practice consideration. Whatever the skills that you want to work on, if you don't put consistent and commitment, it's not going to bring impact in your life. So consistency is the key to effectively challenging negative thought patterns. Like any skill, mastering CBT techniques require practice and repetition. For example, I show you the CBT angle lock in the beginning, right? And if you don't take a consistent practice, you will get bored and you will ask yourself, why do I need to write down? Why do I need to analyze? Or why do I need to identify my thought patterns? You will question yourself and you against your goals, your main goals to be able to manage your anger. So by consistently applying these techniques, people can really rewire their thought process because you write it down. For example, the events, the trigger, the cognitive distortion that you notice, you keep putting it in a regular basis, and by the time it will be automatic because it's natural. Like I have said in the beginning, when you crave or do something new habits, you will have created a new neurons on your brain. And when you keep repeating that things, the neuron connection gets stronger. And when there's certain situation that trigger your anger, your brain is going to send a signal to your brain how to manage or how to handle this gracefully. Okay, so it's really important to be patient with oneself during the learning process and don't expect everything instantly. We know that if something instant happens, it might go away instantly as well. Okay, so the more practice, the more you will notice positive change in your thought patterns and anger management, which will bring you more a good overall emotional well-being. Okay. So after you know the severe anger loss that I have shown in the beginning, the cognitive distortion, the impacts it will have in your behaviors and feelings, now I come to the second part of the severe anger loss. Okay. So after I get this some suggestion, like how can you recast the stroke pain or you can make track monitoring of your thoughts, you can write it down of the events that make you angry. And then you can write it down the techniques to use to slow reaction. Whether you are listening to music to calm yourself, whether you listen to podcasts to distract yourself, or whether you simply take a deep breath, okay? And then you have to notice that what is the anger communicating? Because when you are trying to communicate something, for example, and you become aggressive with another person, then there must a need for you to check and to understand where is the root causes that myself cannot accept this until I become angry. Because when we become angry, it's usually there is something we cannot accept, right? And then you also can notice that what is the emotion under the anger. And that is new behavior or behaviors revised thoughts. So you have to understand that after you notice the trigger, the root causes, the behavior that affected your anger situation, what kind of the new behaviors that you can do. Okay, and after you know the new behavior that you can implement, for example, like simple, take a time, take a longer time, instead of jumping to talk directly when something happened that, and then you can write down the feeling after thoughts and behaviors have changed. Because when you can analyze it one by one, and then you write it down, you can see clearly the things that you want to work on it. So, in order to work on this CBT, there are significance of relaxation and mindfulness in order to be able to manage this anger. So we all know that I think most of the people know that relaxation and mindfulness really play a crucial role in managing anger because it's a way to promoting emotional self-regulation and reducing the physiological result associated with anger response because yeah, there is something that we call fight or flight mode. When you angry, you either fight against or defend yourself or flight, which is usually means avoid it. You don't want to take any action. You simply want to avoid that things rather than against or rather to defend yourself. So this kind of this thing leading to increased heart rate, muscle tension, and stress hormones. So engaging relaxation techniques help counteract this physiological response, which is can calm the body and mind. Okay, the first thing that we can try to talk here is mindfulness. Okay, this mindfulness means simply being fully present in the moment without judgment. For example, in the traffic frustration, usually people are so busy to think what will happen, what will other people say to me, or what kind of the punishment that I will get if I don't arrive at that exact time? You are thinking far away about the things that hasn't happened yet. But if you are being mindful, you are simply engaging in the current situation right now that you at the moment, focus on your breath and how you can handle it, then it's not going to bring you additional stress. So by practicing mindfulness, you can observe the anger triggers, the thoughts and emotion with greater objectively rather than too busy with thinking or with assuming and expecting the worst that will come. So this awareness creates a mental pause because you don't take a directly a reaction, and it will also enable you to respond more thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively to anger provoking situation when there is something that happened that make you angry. For example, if you directly give a reaction, it's only most of the time it's only going to make the situation even getting worse, which is you might don't want to get the result in a bad term or bad view. So now the practical relations exercise that you can do. So the first thing, as you can see in the slide, whether it's outdoor or inside, or indoor, you can take an inhale deeply through the nose, for 3 or 5 seconds. Okay, so you take inhale from when you do the breathing, you send a sign to your brain that you are not in danger. Because when there's external threat to you, your brain try to be in defensive mode, trying to save you. That's why sometimes someone becomes so defensive when something bad happens. Okay, so focusing on the breathing helps you to activate the body's response. So it can reducing anger-related tension. Next is PMR or progressive muscle relaxation that you can see the video in here. Tense and relax different muscle groups systematically. And you can start with the feet and work your way up to the head. Why? Because this exercise helps release physical tension and induce a sense of calmness. That's why you need to start it with your feet. Maybe you simple sit down or maybe simple in a position for doing exercise and then tense your feet and then you can go work out to the head part after the feet. Okay. Next is visualization. People usually do this while they are doing a meditation or simple or being mindful about the current situation, even though if they are on the street, for example. So you can simply close your eyes and imagine a peaceful and serene place, like a beach or a forest. You can imagine how's the feeling when you visited that place, how's the emotion that you have when you see a beautiful beach or when you see a beautiful forest, for example. And you have to try to engage all of your senses, imagine the sights, the sounds, and the smells when you are in that place. Okay, so you can bring this visualization and you can transport the self, you can transport the mind to tranquil space and easing anger and stress. Maybe you are simple sitting like people in here in the video. They are sitting while doing meditation or simple or doing taking some real places, but they are closing their eyes. They are trying to visualize something. They're trying to visualize a peaceful place where they can see the birds singing, for example, where they can see the winds or the breeze outside of the forest. So those kind of things can also bring a good memories back to you when you are having stress or maybe anger. Okay. Next is mindfulness practice during anger provoking situation. So you can have awareness of breath. Like I have said, you need to take a deep breath when it happens or when you are angry, right? When anger arises, you need to focus on your breath. Simple take it from your nose, hold it for a few seconds and exhale it from your mouth because you need to be able to notice the sensation of each inhale and exhale. So this mindful breathing creates space between the anger trigger and your response. So there is a gap. There is no direct reaction of response which will make you even angrier. Okay, so this mindful breathing really allow you to control your reaction. Next is labeling emotions. So identify and label your emotions without judgment. So instead of getting swept away by anger, acknowledge it as anger or frustration. Okay, this mindful acknowledgement helps detach from the intensity of the emotion. Okay, you just need to understand. Okay, when you feel this called the anger. When you feel this called the frustration. Rather than you let them control your mind and body. Next is grounding techniques. Okay, when we talk about grounding techniques, it means that you need to use the senses to ground yourself in the present moment. So you can touch an object nearby and describe its texture, temperature, and weight, because this brings your attention back to being here and now. We just will be bring mindfulness, like preventing rumination on the trigger. So, okay, we come to the almost end of the session, which is will be creating your personalized anger management action. Okay, first, what you need or what you can do is okay, so when you want to make a personalized, you have to do a self-assessment, like reflect on your anger triggers and patterns, like we have discussed before. Identify a specific situation or thought patterns that commonly lead to anger. That's why I bring the CBT anger lock in the previous slide, so you will understand how to stop where you want to put that thought patterns or the cognitive distortion that usually might get. Next is set clear goals. So determine what you want to achieve with your anger management plan. And then after that, you need to set realistic and measurable goals such as reducing the frequency of angry outbursts or responding calmly to specific triggers. Every person can have a different goals when it comes to anger management. Some people only might want to, yeah, I want to be able to handle my reaction. I want to be able to not take things personally. But other people might want themselves solve the anger that becomes so bad during the by the time. Next is integrate CBT, relaxation, and mindfulness. So you can choose a civil techniques that address your thought patterns and help challenge a negative thoughts, like I have mentioned earlier. And then after that, you can incorporate relaxation exercise like deep breathing and progressive muscle relaxation. So after you know or you identify the thought patterns, the cognitive distortion that you have, you can try to do a deep breathing and muscle relaxation. So practice mindfulness also really important to enhance the self-awareness and emotional regulation during this journey or during this time. Next is develop healthy coping strategies. So as I often mentioned during this session, everyone is unique. We might have a different plan even though we come up in the same webinar. So you need to create a list of healthy coping strategies to use when anger arises. It might be different. It might be simple listening to the calm music, or it might be simple listening to a podcast with a motivational videos, or it might be go outside and feel the fresh air outside, or maybe go to the specific place that you like. It can be everything, because everyone is unique, okay? And you can consider activities like taking breaks, going for a walk, or engaging in hobbies to distract yourself and calm down. Next is consistency and support. Like I have mentioned earlier, if you don't have the consistency for doing all of this, for example, maybe you are learning this today and you notice that you might need to do a CBT and the log, but if you don't want to do it again after twice or after three times, then it's not going to build or make a new pattern in your lifestyle, which is not going to bring a lifelong impact to you. Okay, so you need to consistently practice the techniques in your daily life. So when it happens, your body will give the response automatically. When you can give the response automatically, it can lead to the moment that you don't even realize how could you handle this, because it's just a regular thing for you when you are able to do all of these things. Okay. Next is seek support from friends. Instead of take a distance and avoiding when you feel angry, you can seek support from friends, family, or professionals as you can work on your anger management. Okay, the conclusion here is CBT offers highly effective and practical approach. So when we can identify the cognitive patterns and then challenge the negative thoughts and integrating relaxation, and mindfulness techniques, we can really regulate our anger. So this development or personal anger management plan can really achieve lasting improvement as long as you put the consistency in this journey. Because if, like I have mentioned multiple times, if you don't want to put it consistent, if you don't want to identify and then treat and understand the trigger cause of the anger situation, then how can you work on it? Okay, because this CBT equips every person with valuable skills to break free from the cycle of anger and foster a sense of empowerment, which is, can enable them to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience and emotional control. So I do really hope that everyone can take something in this session. I do really grateful and thankful for all of you for listening to the session. And if you have any question or if you want the PDF file from the session, you can contact me on Instagram, Helena_DM, or contact me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or send me email. So once again, thank you so much for listening. Giving back to our host today. And now the session is already finished. Is there any Q&A session?
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your rich content presentation, which can impact our knowledge seekers surely. After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seekers can learn something new, which was our only intention, learn and grow together, IGP knowledge seekers. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for your presentation. Now, ma'am, it's time for our question and answer session, which is one of the most valuable part of our regular routine. Honorable ma'am, please stay with us. After a short video, we'll be back with our session part 2, which is the question and answer part. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you for your question. Will be given a certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seekers, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you for your question. Will be given a certification and online quiz competition. want to know from my speaker. Thank you for your question through webinars certification and online quiz competition. Dear technologists, please ask your question in the comment box with message you want to know from our speaker. Thank you for your question through webinars certification and online quiz competition. Ma'am, I think after this presentation, our knowledge speakers can understand everything very well. So there is no question here. Ma'am,
Oh,
thank you
okay.
so
So
much, ma'am,
there's
for
no
your time in
question.
education. We have learned a lot from you new topics. It will add some value to our day-to-day and our academic and professional growth. Honorable ma'am, hope to see you again with a new topic and a new day. Thank you, ma'am. Take care.
Thank you so much.
As been knowledge seekers, this time for the webinar certification process, the most attractive and powerful part of our webinar, the regular webinar. After a short video, let's start our webinar certification. After webinar certification, we have our online quiz competition and quiz certification. level of relevance. We change the process because in online live quiz competition or just after live, no one can participate. Now time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition, please follow some instruction carefully. For some technical problems, you cannot continue to summarize to join our quiz. There are www.tryno.com and today's quiz code is 1544393. After a short video, we start our quiz session. Right icon is the option 2, 35% is on the right here. Here is the result. Third question is following not found. Right answer is executive training. Control the right here. That's the leaderboard. Fourth question is CBT can be used for income management. Option 1 true. Option 2 false. Right answer is option 1. 100% is our right here. This question is custodial sentences which often build strength of the examination program for CBT. Option 1 true. Option 2 false. Right answer is option 2 false. 32% people in right here use CBT. Our sixth question is who adopted mention one CBT stress in relation therapy for youth in India. There will be option 1 Philippine, option 2 Nora. Option 2 is Calcutta Robert 74% people in right here. The second question is can I found that CBT examination was still successful from men and previous from women. Option 1 is option 2 false. Right answer is false. 3% people are right here. Our eighth question is Sandhya Mayapur uses CBT. Option 1 true, option 2 false. 5 answer is true. 89% people are right here. Here is the leader board. Our ninth question is Sandhya management treatment involves CBT. Option 1 true, option 2 false. 20% people are right here. Our last and final question is Sandhya management data into the CBT approach. Congratulations from the Raghav Salvation. Congratulations to our